Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to Mike in the Midwest. Getting ready to record episode 198. Once I get my windows lined up, because I am particular about that. Somehow they got changed. I think we're set. All right, let's talk about today's show. Here we go. Well, hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 198 of Mike in the Midwest, our mini podcast for the amazing patrons just like you of the Be Our Guest podcast. Of course, my name is Mike Rallman, host of the Be Our Guest podcast. You can find me on all the socials at Be Our Guest Mike. That would be Twitter, Instagram, Threads, and of course, you can find me in the Be Our Guest podcast clubhouse. That's where we all hang out every day, all day, too much. We spend a lot of time over there. All the listeners of the show, we are there morning, noon, night, because we have people from all around the world. So literally when it's day here, it's in the evening over in Europe. We have folks posting, while we're sleeping here in the States, they're, having breakfast over there and other places of the world. And it's a fun conversation that never stops. And we have channels for literally just about everything. We have the living room that kind of catches all, which is a lot of fun. We just talk about our everyday lives. We talk about what we're having for lunch sometimes. We talk about Cinco de Mayo today. By the way, happy Cinco de Mayo to everybody, or Revenge of the 5th. We talk about our families over there. We know some folks were going to prom. We've had some folks celebrate making squads, in high school and college and stuff like that, and graduations. The living room is really cool because we get to see kind of how the podcast listeners live life in their corner of the world. We actually have a channel called My Corner of the World where we post pictures and tell stories so we can learn about what life is like where we all reside, which is very cool because, again, like I said, we have listeners all around the planet. So I can share what a sunset looks like right outside the window of the Be Our Guest Podcast Studios. And you might think that's kind of interesting. Maybe, maybe not, because we have a little lake behind our house here, that little pond that we walk around, little quarter of a mile pond. And sometimes we get some pretty interesting clouds. I'm a weather nut. So I like to take pictures of stuff like that and share those in that little forum. But, I like to learn about what it's like up in Wisconsin where Trisha lives, and Scott sometimes posts stuff up in Michigan. And we have listeners over in Europe. I like to see what's life like where you live, because chances are I'll never get to go there. But because we have such an amazing community because of technology in this podcast, that little channel can really kind of add a lot to our lives. So come on over to the Discord. It's beourguestpodcast.com/Discord. If you haven't yet, I will personally welcome you in, give you a virtual wave on your way in, and then there you go. Explore the channels. Of course, it's mostly Disney because you're a Disney fan. We got a channel for the resorts. We got a channel for the theme parks. We got a channel for the cruise line. We got a channel for the international parks. We got a channel for just about everything. Disneyland. We got a Run Disney channel. Just hop in, check them all out. Everybody's so friendly. You have a question? You need an opinion on ADRs? You'll get all kinds of feedback almost immediately. It's like a live question show on a Wednesday, but it's like you're sourcing it out to a bunch of people, not just three yahoos with a microphone on a Wednesday, and you'll get the feedback right away. It's sweet. So check it out. beourguestpodcast.com/Discord. I'll be looking for it. If you're one of the folks who hangs out with us over there, thanks for being there. Because that community over the past month or two has added so much. I love being over there. My problem is it's such a temptation when I'm supposed to be working that you'll notice, like, during the week, during the day, from like 9 to 2:30 or so, I try not to be on there because that's when my work is super busy. So even though I hear the beeping and the booping when people are posting, man, I got to be disciplined. I can't get in there. I try to hop in there at night, in the early evening, when I can, but it's tempting. I want to be in there constantly, but I try to get in there a few times a day. So Come on over to brguestpodcast.com/Discord. Anyway, Cinco de Mayo. So we're going to have the live call-in show this evening as we do on Sunday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central. Hope you can join us. I hope to have a margarita. Hope to have some Taco Bell before that. Maybe not even Taco Bell. Maybe we can actually have some homemade tacos tonight for Cinco de Mayo, because I love homemade tacos. You go up to the grocery store, you get the taco kit. I don't know what it is about homemade tacos. I love homemade tacos. I don't know if this is true of you, but I can crush homemade tacos like nobody's business. They go down a lot easier when they're made at home. Like with just the old El Paso kit, like in the yellow box, I could probably eat 6 of those easy. And sometimes my wife makes enchiladas, and I'll tell you what, my wife Pam makes wicked good. That's for my East Coasters, my Boston people. Enchiladas. I don't know how she makes them, but she makes them so good. So I'm hoping maybe she does that. I don't know if we're, because I don't think we're gonna get a chance to go out to eat because of the live call-in show tonight. But I mean, if they want to go out to eat early, I'm all for it, but we'll see. Oh, look, they got a little Mexican thing on my clock behind me. I just saw that on the scrolling message board. I like that. Anyway, I don't know if you saw my Instagram or in the Discord, my corner of the world, as I posted last night as we went to Fritz's to get ice cream. We had a surprise visitor here to the house last night. Paige is home. So we are super excited to have Paige here at the house for the next week or so. The transfer portal has closed in college sports. Graduation at UIC, University of Illinois, Chicago, has happened. Graduation was yesterday. So the athletes graduated, the seniors, good stuff. Paige helped a lot of them get that diploma, those seniors. She actually did a lot for a couple of them to get them there, which was really cool. And so some of the coaches went off to Mexico. Some of the coaches went to Florida. Paige came down to St. Louis, and she has a week off. So she's going to hang out here. And we are super excited to have her. Riley was super excited to see her mom. So we are excited. So we immediately went to Fritz's, her favorite frozen custard place here in St. Louis, had ice cream, and boom, I was just blown away that she came in, because she's supposed to come in tonight, and she came in a night early. So she came in last night. So we're excited to have Paige home, and it should be a fun week here in with her here. We're always just glad to have her here. And so I haven't asked her yet about the cruise, if she's going to give me a final answer, but I'm going to ask her tonight. So maybe by the live show, we will know. I'm trying to wait for the right time. All right. So that's what's going on around here. So we'll figure out Cinco de Mayo. I haven't asked. I just had lunch. Pam always gets mad if I ask about dinner too early. She says, all I worry about is food, which is true. But I'm a runner. Runners just worry about food. You're always hungry. Let's see. So what else? Revenge of the, May the 4th. Didn't do a lot for May the 4th. Just like right now in the studio here, it's Revenge of the 5th today. So TBS still has on Star Wars movies. I see that they're streaming episode 3 right now, Revenge of the Sith. So I have that on. That's about it. I've watched Star Wars here and there. Like if you went to one of those 9 movie marathons, I was talking about this with Pam last night. I don't know how you do that. One, I don't have enough time in my life to sit through 9 movies back to back to back to back to back to back. How many backs that is? Because I have to work. Like I work every day of the year except for Christmas Day. And Christmas Day I work too. It's just the load is a lot less because people don't tend to email me or book trips on Christmas Day. Thank you for not doing that. But when you're an independent contractor, you have to work, because you don't have anybody to really cover for you unless you pay somebody to cover for you, and then they have to work for you. So you feel bad. Like when I'm on vacation, I pay another agent to cover for me, and that's how it works. So, where was I going with this? It's one of those things, like to go to 9 movies and plus I don't know if I could sit that long. I'm an antsy kind of person. Like I could sit through a movie, but 9 consecutive movies at the end, one, I don't think I could get up. I'd be locked up like nobody's business, because I'm so old and my body just, after 2 hours, I'm like the Tin Man. I can't imagine, after 9 movies, holy smokes. I love all the movies. Don't get me wrong, because I'm a fan of the prequels, and I enjoy the 7, 8, 9. They're not bad, But holy smokes, I can't imagine that. I mean, I'm a big Disney fan, but and Star Wars fan too, but whew, that's a lot. So if you did that, man, the force was strong with you. But yeah, I've just enjoyed kind of watching them here and seeing everybody. The greatest thing though about things like these Star Wars days and the Cinco de Mayo, even to a certain extent at this point, is social media. I'm just enjoying people. I got to see everybody's lightsaber celebration at Disneyland and at Walt Disney World. I saw the videos and the pictures and stuff this morning on social media, and that's cool. Like, I wasn't there, but I got to see secondhand all the dusk under the Millennium Falcon at Disneyland in Galaxy's Edge last night. That was awesome. I wish I could have been there, but I wasn't. But I got to see the videos of it. Yeah, second best thing. Pretty cool. So, may the force be with you yesterday. May the force be with you today. Revenge of the Fifth, and have a margarita and a burrito and an enchilada today, which I plan to do. And I plan to have a margarita during the live show tonight. So give us a call, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. Scott and I'll be waiting for you tonight. We've had really big numbers for the call-in shows the past few weeks. And so we hope that continues tonight. What else do you have to do? It's Sunday night. Come on, give us a call. All right. So we have Paige home. Mother's Day next Sunday. We'll probably still have a show. Maybe. Yes, probably. We're taking all the moms out to brunch around here. We always go to the same place. We take Pam's mom. We take all the moms. So obviously Pam goes, my kid's mom. We take Pam's mom and her sisters and everybody goes. We go to a place in St. Louis called the Old Spaghetti Factory. I don't know if you have those in your town, but it's so good. It's an Italian restaurant. It's called Chesterfield Valley. It's about 10 minutes from our house, and I look forward to it every year because the food is so good there. The Old Spaghetti Factory. So we'll go there probably for lunch next Sunday. But maybe Saturday. I think Mallory said she has to work. So I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll probably have a live show next Sunday night. So just count on that. All right. So let's hit the feedback from last week. We talked about Grandpa's Garage. I used to love hanging out in that place. And it was almost it was my grandpa's man cave before we knew what a man cave was in the late 70s and 80s. Dennis, my good friend, who I see is on a podcast this week. I saw on Twitter today that he is on the DCL Duos podcast. Shout out Dennis, MIZ. Glad to see him there. And I know he had a big Star Wars weekend because he is a big Star Wars fan. By the way, so in the Discord, I was speaking to the Discord earlier. Somebody was asking about the Jedi Training Academy. And for folks that are kind of new to the Disney game, I mean, the studios used to do so much wild and wacky crossover Star Wars Disney stuff. So they did Star Wars weekends, which was awesome. It was a separate event before Disney owned Star Wars. And so they would have all these actors come in, especially like Peter Mayhew that did Chewbacca. You would have the guy who was Wicket the Ewok. He would come in. You could meet and greet all these characters, all these actors and stuff. They had a parade down Hollywood Boulevard with all these looked like a land speeder they would ride in. It was so cool. We went many times to Star Wars weekends. I have this poster here in the studio, which from Star Wars weekends 2007, where the Disney characters are dressed up like Star Wars characters. I got that for our first anniversary. Pam got that for me because we got married in 2006 because we were down there during our first anniversary. And it was just cool. But one of the things they had that, I mean, if you're new to the Disney game, you would never, ever believe they did this. It was called the Hyperspace Hoopla. And you got to look up the Hyperspace Hoopla on YouTube. Hyperspace Hoopla, I'm telling you. I swear, looking back on it, it's like a fever dream. You would have Darth Vader come out and dance with Padme at Amidala and like dance to Spice Girl songs. I am not kidding. We went to this thing probably 10 different times because they did it every year for a while. And it got so big. It used to be on the Jedi Training Academy stage over by Backlot Express. Okay, so they do it multiple times. It got so big, they had to set up a gigantic stage in front of the Chinese theater like the last year. And I mean, you had to camp out to get it. It was like a rock concert. And you would have the stormtroopers like out there backing up Darth Vader and then all of a sudden, like a bounty hunter would come out and they were all choreographed dances to like the latest music, like Can't Touch This. It'd be like MC Hammer and they're all doing, or, it'd be like a medley of songs. And all of a sudden Michael Jackson would come in, or it was the wildest thing. You're like, no way Disney did this. Oh yeah, Disney did this, and Star Wars let them do this. I swear it felt like a fever dream, but it happened and it was awesome. I can't believe though, like they did this with like the canon of the stories and stuff. I'm telling you, look it up. Hyperspace Hoopla during Star Wars weekends. I mean, it was wild. But yeah, Jedi Training Academy made me think of that because we were talking about that. Somebody was asking if it was still happening. Unfortunately, it's not. But I did dig up some pictures of Mallory doing Jedi Training Academy and posted those over on the Discord in the clubhouse from 2015, 9 years ago. Oh, man, it's a long time ago. Anyway, back to the feedback from Grandpa's Garage. Dennis is here. He says, Mike in the Midwest made me think a lot about my grandpa lately. Grandpa didn't have the workshop style garage that you described. He actually had 3 garages. One was an ancient detached structure that held a very old car that my dad wanted to restore one day, but never got around to. Another was a new garage that they had built when they received some insurance proceeds. Grandpa and Grandma just parked their cars there. The third was an attached structure that either had 1, firewood stacked in it, 2, coal for their furnace before they finally upgraded to a gas furnace, or 3, ears of corn to feed the birds. Something you said resonated with me, though. When Grandpa passed away 24 years ago, the pastor mentioned at his funeral that he was part of a generation of men that we were slowly losing. They either knew how to fix everything, or if they didn't, they figured out how to do it. That was very true of my grandpa. I don't think I ever heard of him calling a repairman. Whether it was the furnace, the washing machine, or the car, he would take care of it. I don't know how, but he always figured it out. That is the truth. My grandpa, exactly the same thing. My grandpa didn't even graduate high school. Smartest man I ever knew. I have a master's degree plus 30 other credit hours. And I am so less educated than my grandfather was, and I wish I could tell him that because I think that is my grandpa towards the end of his life, like saw us graduating high school, like the grandkids and stuff, that maybe he thought that like we had surpassed him because like we were going to college and stuff. And I mean, I'm sure it was his dream, right? That his grandkids were going to college and he hadn't even graduated high school. I mean, I would want that, I think that'd be cool. But it's like, I wish I could have told him that, God, Grandpa, you were the smart one, looking back now that I'm 50, that like you always had the answer. Like, and you knew how to do things I wish I could do. Like, I can't fix anything. For example, I'll give you a perfect example. 3 days ago, our garage door stopped opening. You just walk out of we have in the Midwest here, we have the 2-car garage, right? And you have the door that goes out of the laundry room into the garage. You push the button and the garage door goes up, and that's how you get out of your house. You don't ever go out the front door. So I push the button and the garage door goes up maybe an inch and stops. I was like, oh, crap. You gotta be kidding. So I push it again, goes back down, an inch down. Push it again, goes up an inch, stops. And that's all to go. It'll only go up an inch. I'm like, oh, great. So my Jeep is in the garage. Our lawnmower is in the garage. Now it's been raining and like super hot. For like the last week, it gets like hot and then rains and then hot and then rains. So our grass had gotten super high, but we were waiting till the weekend to cut the grass. So this happened on Thursday night or Friday. So we can't get the garage door open, and you can't even get it open with the opener off. Like you disengage the opener and it won't even still come up because it was the spring that broke on it. We figured out like this big heavy spring, like it's just messed up. My grandpa could have fixed this. I guarantee you that. I am like, I can't figure out. I think it's the spring, but I have no idea how to fix this. So we got to call the overhead door company. That there's a sticker by the opener thing from when we bought this house in 2019. They come out, they fix it, costs a fortune, right? Just like anything with your house. Grandpa probably could have fixed it with a lube gun and like ordered the part and jumped up there on a ladder and probably fixed it for 20% of what we paid. That's exactly what my grandpa did. My father-in-law, Pam's dad, can fix anything. Problem is, he's getting a little bit older. We used to have him fix everything for us. I don't ask him anymore because he is getting a little bit older, and I just feel bad because he doesn't get around as easy as he used to. He still loves doing that kind of stuff, but I just don't ask anymore because it's a little bit harder on him. So we don't ask as much because he was a full-time mechanic. That's what he did. He worked for a Chevy dealership, big one here in St. Louis until he retired about 10 years ago. So he can fix anything. He's mechanically inclined. He could have come over and told us exactly what it was, but at some point you just got to be an adult and call the number because they got to get we had to get the lawnmower out, man. We were about to lose Riley in the front yard when she went out the door. That's how tall the grass was, and the HOA was going to get us. So anyway, we got that resolved. They fixed it, but yeah, it's exactly it, Dennis. Like it's amazing, back in the day, nobody called anybody. You just figured it out, and that pastor was exactly right. Thanks for the feedback. This is why I love this, because I love hearing from you, because that is exactly right. That's exactly right. That generation was so smart because they had to be. They didn't have, that's just who you were. You had to figure those things out. And I mean, it was just a different kind of knowledge base. They didn't worry about coding and technology. It was technology in a different way. It was hands-on. It was building. It was fixing. That's so cool. Trisha says, your comments about being around large groups of intense kids made me laugh because my husband was a bus chaperone as I was listening to your podcast. He had to shepherd 10 to 13-year-old band students for Band Fest. They were all excited because they got to miss a day of school. My husband's running commentary via text had me laughing all day. Oh my God. I can only imagine. Been there many times. Trish says, in terms of Grandpa's garage, one of my grandpas was a farmer, and I still remember the smell of oil and fertilizer. I also remember how he would repurpose anything. The amount of antique junk would probably be worth a small fortune now. Exactly. And here's the other thing about my grandpa's garage. He had coffee cans of nuts and bolts for days. I mean, nuts and bolts for days. And he had them pretty organized, but he had like Maxwell House, Cinco, like a blue can and a red can. And I never remember my grandpa drinking much coffee now that I look back on it, because I don't think my grandpa was much of a coffee guy. But he had coffee cans, so maybe people were giving them to him. Because remember in the 70s, I don't know if you still, I don't drink coffee. And of course, it's 2024. Mallory's the only one here that drinks coffee, and she buys she has a little, it's like a super cheap Keurig she got like 6 years ago that she uses, that makes one thing at a time. And she gets those little one serving things that she puts in the top. I don't even know because I don't make them. Anyway, but back in the 70s or 80s, didn't we bought you bought your coffee in a big old metal can. I swear it was like 5 pounds worth of coffee grounds, and that's what he put his nuts and bolts in. But he had them but seriously, it was like a blue Maxwell. I can still picture it, like blue Maxwell House, like a red Cinco, and blue was nuts, Cinco was bolts. My grandpa, I love my grandpa, man. He had a system. I don't know what it was, but he did. Okay, last one. Michelle down in South Florida says, my grandpa's garage was an actual garage. He owned a mechanic shop and gas station, which had 3 garages. I always loved when I got to hang out there and help organize the tools or get a ride on the car lift. My dad also worked there and eventually took over the business. The smell of oil, tires, gas, etc. always takes me right back there. This is one of the reasons I'm one of the rare people that loves Tomorrowland Speedway and that smell. How cool is that? You know what, though? Paige has always loved the smell of gasoline. And we've always said, what's wrong with you? Whenever we got gas, she would always go, that smells so good. She'd be riding home with you, Michelle. You're exactly right, though. I mean, it does kind of, To me too, it is kind of a comfortable smell because that's how my grandpa's garage smelled, because he always had all the lawn equipment in there because he always took care of his job forever. And we had the biggest Baptist church in the state of Missouri. And it took him 2.5 days every time he cut the grass and manicured with the weed eater and all that stuff. My grandpa, he was in charge of cutting the grass at the church, and it was a huge campus. And so he had the riding lawnmower he would do for a while. He had a push mower and he had the trimmer, and he had all that stuff stored in his garage too. And so he had the cars, all that stuff. And so it always did smell like gasoline and oil in his garage too. So it's kind of a comfortable smell. It's weird though. Why is that a comfortable smell? And maybe also the leftover coffee from the Cinco and the Maxwell House cans. I don't know. There was a lot of smells in that garage. I'm sure because we hung out in there a lot. Anyway, you have feedback from this show or any other show, leave it at patreon.com/BeOurGuestPodcast. Okay, let's hit today's show or today's topic. Shout out to Isabel, who's heading down to Walt Disney World on Friday, who's tuned in live here as we record here on a Sunday afternoon, and my good friend Simon over in the UK. And let's see here. He says his dad was like that too. Let's see. He went over to the scrapyard with his dad and pulled parts off until until they could repair things themselves, just like the good old days. And he said his garage was wall-to-wall nuts, bolts, tools, and tape. Whatever we needed to fix, he had it and would work it out and hand him the tools. And that's what it was all about. Exactly. My grandpa was organized, super organized, but the nuts and bolts, coffee cans, just saying. What? I guess that was how you did it back then. My grandpa was also frugal. That's where I get it. Okay, so let us talk about what I was thinking about today on the treadmill. I think it's where I come up with my show ideas Sunday mornings because I walk instead of run. So I just have time to sit and think. I was thinking about the stores that I never get to go to anymore because, and everybody just came home because I hear people stirring upstairs. I was doing my shopping for Mother's Day this morning and I already knew what I was getting. So I'll just say it real quick because I don't think anybody's tuned in upstairs, hopefully. So we all know that I've been super excited. I'm making the Olivia's wall here in the studio, right? And you guys are all probably in the studio now because like as I wave my hand here, because it goes to sleep if I don't move too much. I have this 15-inch digital frame that I got about a month ago at this point, and I've added over 2,500 pictures from the history of the Be Our Guest podcast on there, from the very first, pictures from when we went to Mouse Fest in 2008, and like my first time I met Masayo from Japan. Like she was somebody I was like, oh, I gotta meet Masayo. Like Michelle, we met at the first Mouse Fest. Jay, I met at the first Mouse Fest. Michelle just talked about here on the feedback. Just so many of you guys, like Trisha, we had dinner with her family at LS Teca. There's a picture of her on there. If we've met and taken a selfie, you are in the studio in those pictures here. And what I'm going to do, I haven't done it yet. I need to get on this, but I'm going to put real pictures all around it to make it look like the entrance of Olivia's. Different kinds of frames, different kinds of filters on those pictures to make it look kind of like over the years, even though it'll be kind of fake. But I want to make it look like the entrance to Olivia's with that digital frame in the middle so I can keep changing it and updating it. So I love this frame, dude. I sit here just even when I'm working, I catch myself just watching the pictures go by in the frame because 2,500 and they're all fun pictures of races, of like Halloween parties, of cruises. They're all pictures from history, the indie Disney meets, pictures from over at Give Kids the World during live shows, all kinds of stuff. So anyway, I've had so much fun with this thing that I've decided to order Pam one for Mother's Day. Now, I'm a terrible gift giver. I've said this 100 times on the show. I'm terrible, but I think this is something she would like. So now I will say I've gotten her one of these before. I've gotten her one of these like way back in the year 2000, like when digital frames first came out. But they were like little tiny things. I mean, do you remember the very first digital picture frames? They were like super tiny. You sat them like on an end table and you put a little SD card in. They held like 30 pictures. So that was probably the last time I got her one. I mean, it was forever ago. So this is a big one. Like you hang it on the wall and it holds a ton of pictures. Like it can hold like 20,000 and you can email them to it. You can shoot them by your phone via Wi-Fi. I mean, you can do all kinds of cool stuff. Anyway, come in tomorrow, Monday. And here's the good news for me. This is a really, really good news for me. Paige is home all week. So I'm going to have Paige log into my Google Photos, which has over 35,000 pictures forever, and have her pick out, because see, she doesn't have to buy a Mother's Day gift this way. Either does Mallory. And they can now go through and find the pictures to load it up. And then we'll slide it right back into the box, wrap it, and she'll have a cool Mother's Day gift. I think. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But don't see her on Instagram and tell her, because it's a secret between us. So that's what I'm planning. So that's the plan there. Okay, so that's got me thinking about shopping. I never left the treadmill, which is kind of sad, but I already had one, and they always ask you on Amazon, right? Would you be interested in this? Well, not really, because I already bought one. But here's the deal. This thing went down $45 since I bought it a month ago. What a rip. What a rip. The one I bought like a month ago was $45 more. Why is it cheaper now? I know, right? Anyway, so here's some of the stores around here. I made a quick list. It's only about 5 of them that I really miss going to. And maybe you had these by you, maybe you didn't. But I love these stores back in the day, and I wish I could go to them one more time. One was service merchandise. I don't know if you had service merchandise where you live, but service merchandise was I guess you would call it a department store. It was a big store, kind of like a Target size store, like a Kohl's kind of type store. You go in there. I really went in there for just a few things as a kid. They sold computer equipment. And remember, I was a nerdy kid in the 80s. They sold Commodore 64 discs. That's mainly what I bought there, blank discs. They sold computers like disk drives. They sold Commodore 64s, and they sold, some toys. But the trick was about service merchandise. It was a catalog store. So you would basically get the catalog at your house every year. And if you watch like old Price is Right episodes, a lot of old game shows, they would give out a voucher on the game show to service merchandise. And they show a picture of the catalog. Usually it's like around 82 to 85 on the game show. Anyway, you would go into the store was actually a showroom. They wouldn't have inventory out on the floor except one display item. You could either take this clipboard and fill out like a little sheet of paper with what you wanted to order, or they had some computers set up in the store itself, and you would type in your order, and then you would submit it, and you would go to the back of the store, and they had a big old conveyor belt in the back of the store, and your order eventually would kind of roll down the conveyor belt, and they would call your name, and you get your order. It was like a magical workshop or something. It was so fun to get your order a second time, because you would go, you see it. I need that toy, or I need the box of, I remember I always got what are called verbatim blank discs. They're called bonus discs. And I would, because I ran a BBS and I'd download software from all over the place, and I needed blank discs. And so I'd go I ride my bike to service merchandise, type in the code, go to the back of the store, sit there, twiddle my thumbs, wait till they came down the conveyor belt. They call my name, get my discs, and ride my bike, 2 miles back home. It was wild. But I miss service merchandise because they had some fancy stuff. They had toys, they had some sporting goods, but it was a cool store. I miss going to service merchandise. So that's one of the places I wonder if you guys had that. Another place that I miss, this is when I was super young, is Kmart. I know people dogged on Kmart, but I used to go to Kmart with my great grandparents, especially over in Alton, Illinois. That's where they lived. And this is the weirdest thing. We used to go there to eat. We used to go to the K Cafe. I don't know if the food was good or not, but I remember I used to like going to the K Cafe. But again, I was probably 6 or 7. And maybe my great grandparents, again, this was when I was going with my great grandparents. So I was young. I had to have been 6 or 7. I think I just like to go because I like to be with my great grandparents. And we would go, and they would make it a big deal that we were going to Kmart to get something to eat. And you would, kind of browse around the store. And I think I got to get a Hot Wheels or something, because, they'd always buy you a toy, but it wasn't a fancy toy. Maybe you get a ball or a Hot Wheels or an action figure, it's probably something that was $2 or $3. And then you go into the K Cafe and maybe get, I don't know what we'd even get at that point of life, in like when late 70s, early 80s. But we'd sit down and in a booth, and I remember they had like these dividers that had like little plastic circles in them. I don't It's a vivid memory for some reason, but we'd eat at the K Cafe. And then, sometimes I do remember the blue light specials. Like you'd be walking and they have that little cart and have like a blue police light, woo, 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 and like, that part of the store would have some kind of a, special going on for the next 20 minutes. Like you got made fun of in high school or junior high for Kmart stuff. Man, when I was like 6, my grandparents or great grandparents would take you to Kmart, get a little mashed potatoes and stuffing or something and turkey. That's where you went. Okay, another place. These next two were kind of on the same street that I used to like going to, and they were both kind of also catalog stores, Circuit City and Dolgen's. And Dolgen's also turned into a place called Best. And they were kind of like service merchandise, and they were also kind of like they were also kind of like Best Buy. So they were also electronic stores, mostly focused on electronics. So if like you went to a Best Buy today, very much like a Circuit City, this was though kind of more like 90s. So this was where you would go to see like IBM clone computers, like the very beginning of like Nintendos and kind of like that kind of, what are those called? Console video game systems. So like Game Cubes and stuff like that, they would sell, not that you cared, but like washers and dryers and TVs and you go into the car stereo section where they'd have all the speakers. That's pretty cool. But those kind of stores were fun. Dolgen's was the same way. We go there at Christmas. Two more and one bonus memory. Toys R Us, obviously, as a kid. I mean, when you went in Toys R Us as a kid, like it was unimaginable to me, Toys R Us, but the place that I went to more than Toys R Us was a place called the Children's Palace. The Children's Palace was literally this gigantic store next door to Target where we were. And I don't know if it's because I was little or if this place was that big, but when you went in, like it felt like the racks in each aisle like went up 30 feet. I mean, it was like Willy Wonka's factory, but for toys. There was so many toys there all year. Like, you were in the video game section and there was just video games everywhere, and the bikes, there were just racks and just bikes as far as you could see, and big wheels and, sporting goods, just baseball gloves, softball gloves, bats, the board games, like the board games just went on forever. And it just seemed like there was an infinite amount of inventory in this store, especially around Christmas. And, shopping online is something, right? Because you can always find it and you can probably have it right away. But there was something about just going into that store, Children's Palace. It was very much a Toys R Us knockoff, but it was huge. And it had this, like, you would see, it just felt like the inventory was amazing looking back. Like it was, it wasn't like just one. It felt like there was like 20 of everything behind it. And you would go in there and it would just get your juices flowing as a kid. You're just like, God, I've been Santa's workshop. It was unbelievable. Like everything was in this one store. And I don't know, like you just left and you were just like, oh my gosh, that's the coolest place ever. And the thing was, it sat between a Target and it sat between Showbiz Pizza. That was what was between it. And next to that was the movie theater, Halls Ferry 8. And next to that was Zantigo's, which was right before Taco Bell. It was a great little fast casual Mexican restaurant. And there's a White Castle next to that. So it's like, dude, it was like a murderer's row right there. Excuse me, of just places to go. And there's a Shoney's right in front of it too. I mean, right there, right off of Highway 270 in New Halls Ferry, if you're from North County. So there you go. Okay. And the last thing I wanted to mention before we get out of here was back in the day at Christmas time at your elementary school, they used to do the visit to the North Pole. And I don't know if they did this at your school or not, but like your parents would give you $5, and maybe at your school, they would set up like a little, like in the library or something, or cafeteria for a day or two, where you could take your $5 and you could buy the people in your family like little trinkets. So you'd have something that you could wrap and give away to your sister, your mom, and your dad. You might buy things like rabbit's feet or pencils, or I don't know. What would you buy? Like a keychain or something like that. Just something so that you could have something to give away to your family. And it was a Santa secret workshop, some places called it, but I thought that was kind of cool. And I don't know if schools still do that. I don't think Pam's school does that anymore. I guess it would have been put on by the like PTO or the PTA. But I always enjoyed that. And it was kind of more because I went to a private Christian school. So they always based it on, biblical teachings, right? Like, it's better to give than to receive. And so, you go down there and you make, I guess because as second graders, we'd want to buy cool stuff for us instead of buying it for our family. Like, you're not buying this for you, Mike. You're buying this to give away to your family. Don't spend the $5 on you. And I guess that's hard to teach, 6-year-olds, 7-year-olds, but it's a lesson. And I don't know if they do that anymore, but I think that was always such a fun thing to go down and shop for your family and give kids an opportunity to go shopping in a safe way and learn how to spend money and wrap and get the excitement of shopping for your family. But just a few of the places that I miss. Now, I will say there's a place in St. Louis that I didn't know existed. They're opening a second location that I've heard about on podcasts for like the last 5 years. I've always wanted to go to one, but I didn't think we had one in St. Louis, and we do. And it's only about 20 minutes from here. It's a place called Ollie's. And apparently this place has like video games. And I'm talking like those arcade 1-up machines, which I have one of those, only have one. I have a Pac-Man / Galaga machine, which I love because I never thought I'd have one as a kid. I got it for Father's Day during COVID in 2020. I love that thing. I've had it for 4 years. I just like to go to these kind of places. It's kind of like, I think it's kind of like a Big Lots or something. And I'm not a big shopper, but I kind of want to go to the store because I've heard all these stories about this Ollie store that has all these amazing deals. So, I might have to go to this place because it's in Ellisville, which isn't too far away from here. And now they're opening a second location. So I got to check this out before it goes out of business and I don't ever get to go there. So tell me the stores that I'm missing from your childhood that you cannot go to anymore that you wish you could go to one more time. And join us tonight for the live call-in show, Sunday night, 7:00 Eastern, 6:00 Central. Bring your margarita. It's Cinco de Mayo, and we'll talk to you then. So thanks for hanging out, and thanks for your support as always for the show. I cannot do this without you, and you guys mean just a ton to us. So you guys take care of yourself. Until we talk again, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you real soon. Toys R Us was the bomb, Simon. Yeah, they're doing the pop-ups here, but I mean, I'm talking like you had to go into the big store. You know what I'm saying? Like it was like I'm telling you, it was like Willy Wonka's factory. Like it was like the thing that got me was the inventory. And that was our children's palace though. And actually they turned it into a roller rink for a while. And then they had some shootings there because it was in a bad part of town and it was bad. All right, I got to roll because I got to get a couple things done before the live show. So I will see you guys tonight. Have a good Cinco. Bye.